The very first Grand Theft Auto game was released in the year 1997 by Rockstar North, who at the time were going by the name DMA Design. Originally, the game was going to be titled Race and Chase, in which the player would control a police officer pursuing criminals, but this idea fell flat as it was considered to be dull, which then led to the choice of playing as a criminal instead. The third-person perspective that we're used to in most of the GTA games was not utilized in this game, with it instead being played in a bird's-eye view, and overall, looking a lot more cartoonish. The open-world aspect to these games is still prominent here though, and to get further along in the game, the player needs to gather a certain amount of points, which can be achieved by completing missions throughout the 3 cities that the player can travel to, those being known as Liberty City, which is based on New York City, San Andreas, which is based on San Francisco, and Vice City, which is based on Miami. With that being said, the goal for this game was to allow the player to have the freedom to play however they would like to, with the main missions not being necessary for the player to still have fun. And this idea obviously carried on into every single GTA game that came after it. When this game was released, it was of course controversial due to its violent content, and there were even discussions about banning the game at one point. Rather than looking at this as a problem, the marketing team behind the game viewed this as a positive thing, seeing this pretty much as free promotion, and leaning into the controversy even more. Overall, the game was a commercial success, and as of now, has sold 3 million total copies. The graphics are without a doubt outdated now, but even at the time, they were still criticized by many, but thanks to the entertainment value and the freedom that came with the open world aspect, the game overall was praised by many when it first came out. Grand Theft Auto 2 was released in October 1999, about 2 years after the first game was released, with Rockstar North still being known as DMA Design, and overall, it seems like many people agree that this game improved on many aspects that the first one had to offer. Although it still had a bird's eye point of view, and the graphics aren't that much of an improvement, the camera and controls are upgraded just a bit in this game, making it even more fun than the first one, and not being so disorienting. GTA 2 is set within a retro-futuristic metropolis, known as Anywhere City, with both the missions and open world aspect being present, and the criminal you play as works under various crime syndicates. Although people look back on it more positively now, at the time when it was first released, it received mixed reviews, but overall was a moderate commercial success, selling over 2 million total copies as of 2024. Grand Theft Auto 3, which is the final game where Rockstar North was known as DMA Design, was released in the year 2001, 2 years after the second GTA game, and this is where everything changed. Now, there's a graphics overhaul with much better controls, and the third-person perspective is introduced here. There's also now a more coherent and in-depth story following Claude, although he is a silent protagonist, and it takes place in the fictional Liberty City. After Claude was betrayed and left for dead by his girlfriend during a robbery, he embarks on a quest for revenge that leads him to become entangled in a world of crime, drugs, and gang warfare. Due to the attacks of 9/11, this game was delayed as the team had to make changes to certain aspects of the game as it would have been deemed inappropriate. Overall, GTA 3 received critical acclaim, easily making it the most successful game in the franchise at this point in time, and there was much praise due to the concept of the game and the gameplay overall. With that being said, it of course brought a lot of controversy, even more than the last 2 games combined, as the depictions of violence and sexual content are even more explicit here due to the 3D and less cartoonish looking world. This did not have an effect on its commercial success though, as it became the best-selling video game of 2001, and by March 2008, it had sold 14.5 million copies in total. This game is often listed among the greatest video games ever made, with many critics claiming it is one of the best GTA games out there, and it became a landmark in the open world concept, completely transforming the genre overall, and winning multiple Game of the Year awards from several gaming publications. Without GTA 3, this franchise as we know it would not exist, and although it does look outdated today, it still deserves so much respect and praise. Grand Theft Auto Vice City, which is the first of the franchise to be officially developed by Rockstar North, was released in the year 2002, 1 year after GTA 3. Taking place in the year 1986, the story follows the mobster Tommy Vercetti and his rise to power after being released from prison and getting caught up in an ambush drug deal. While seeking out those responsible, Tommy builds a criminal empire by seizing power from other criminal organizations in the city. Of course, this game takes place in Vice City, which is split up into 2 main islands, and the story is based on multiple real-world people and events in Miami, especially the 1980s crack epidemic and the mafioso drug lords in Miami. This game is also influenced by the film Scarface and the TV series Miami Vice. The developers really wanted to capture the time period they were focusing on, taking a lot of inspiration from all types of places, and the team conducted extensive research on the ground in Miami while creating the world for this game. Of course, this game received critical acclaim, with praise specifically being directed at its gameplay, story, open world design, and music. It was no doubt the most controversial of this franchise at the time, especially due to the racial groups and other political aspects that the game depicts. With all that being said, for another year in a row, it became the best-selling game of 2002, with a total of 17.5 million copies sold as of now, and winning many Game of the Year awards. This game was so successful for Rockstar that they even created a prequel game known as Grand Theft Auto Auto Vice City Stories a few years later in 2006, focusing on a minor character from the original game and expanding on the world and story even more. Overall, Vice City took what GTA 3 did and pushed it even further, creating a legendary game in this already amazing franchise. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was released in 2004, 2 years after GTA Vice City, and the story follows Carl Johnson, who goes by the nickname CJ, where he returns home after his mother's murder and finds out his old gang has lost a lot of their territory. Over the course of the game, he attempts to re-establish the gang, clashes with corrupt authorities and powerful criminals, and gradually unravels the truth behind his mother's murder. Of course, this game took place in the fictional state San Andreas, where it consists of 3 metropolitan cities, Los Santos, San Fierro, and Las Venturas, which are based on Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Las Vegas. The story is based on multiple real-life events in LA, including the Bloods and Crips street gang rivalry, the 1990s crack epidemic, the 1992 Los Angeles riots, and the Rampart scandal, which was a police corruption scandal that unfolded in LA during the late 1990s and early 2000s. Like Vice City, extensive research went into the creation of this game, with the team putting more effort than ever before into ensuring that the atmosphere and what was depicted was as good and accurate as possible, and it really paid off, as this game is regarded as not only one of the best GTA games ever, but one of the best video games of all time by many people online. Although San Andreas isn't my absolute favorite game in the franchise, it is easily in my top 3, as the story and character writing is really what shined the brightest, as well as all the other fun aspects that this game had to offer. It of course received critical acclaim for all these things, winning many Game of the Year awards, and of course being the best-selling game of 2004, with over 27.5 million copies sold as of now, a huge jump from any game in this franchise that came before it. Grand Theft Auto 4 was released in the year 2008, 4 years after San Andreas, although there were multiple GTA games that came out between San Andreas and 4 that aren't considered to be main GTA games, such as GTA Advance, the Trilogy, Liberty City Stories, and one I mentioned before, Vice City Stories. All these games were not solely developed by Rockstar North though, so they still had a lot of time to focus on the development of GTA 4 and ensuring it would be the highest quality game in the franchise at this time, and it really delivered. It is often argued by many fans that this game is just as good, if not better, than San Andreas, with the graphics and other gameplay elements being objectively better, although the story isn't viewed as good by many, and it follows the Eastern European war veteran known as Niko Bellic as he attempts to escape his past while under pressure from high-profile criminals. This story takes place in Liberty City, consisting of 3 main islands, as well as the neighboring state of Alderney, which is based on New Jersey. One incredible aspect to this game that revolutionized this franchise was the online multiplayer mode, allowing up to 32 players to engage in both cooperative and competitive gameplay. There were also expansion packs released shortly after the game was released in 2009, known as The Lost and Damned and The Ballad of Gay Tony, which both feature new plots that are interconnected with the main GTA 4 storyline, following completely new protagonists. Development for GTA 4 began soon after San Andreas was released, with the shift to a more realistic and detailed tone for the series. There was less of a cinematic influence to this game, as the team wanted to focus on making a completely original story, but they were still heavily influenced by real-world events, in which they would go on the grounds in New York City to get inspiration for their fictional city, capturing over 100,000 photographs and several hours of video. They believed that the world is the most important aspect of this game, trying to put as much attention to detail to everything they could as possible. The budget for this game was over $100 million, making it one of the most expensive video games ever to be developed. Of course, it had incredible critical acclaim, breaking industry sale records and becoming the fastest selling entertainment product in history at the time, earning $310 million just on the first day of release alone, and $500 million within the first week. As of 2013, it had sold over 25 million copies, easily making it the most successful game in the franchise at the time. Grand Theft Auto 5 was released in the year 2013, 5 years after GTA 4, and in my opinion, this is the best game in the franchise. Although many fans believe San Andreas and 4 to be better, I just love everything about this game, and it is no doubt in my top 5 favorite games of all time. It takes a very creative approach compared to any other game that came before it, following 3 protagonists rather than one, known as Michael DeSanta, a retired bank robber, Franklin Clinton, a street gangster, and Trevor Phillips, a drug dealer and gun runner. They all attempt to commit heists while under pressure from a corrupt government agency and also powerful criminals, with the player being able to switch between the 3 characters throughout the majority of the story. It takes place in San Andreas' countryside in the fictional city of Los Santos, and the attention to detail in this game is the best in the entire franchise. Every aspect of the world building is truly one of a kind, with nearly every small detail having so much thought put behind it. Anyone can tell how much passion went into the creation of this game. GTA Online is such a huge element of this game, where up to 30 players can engage with one another, and they took the multiplayer aspect from GTA 4 and improved it exponentially. Even though this game came out over a decade ago, they still update the online mode consistently, adding many new and exciting features over the years, and the multiplayer multiplayer mode really took on a life of its own, especially with the roleplay servers. To this day, there's still hundreds of thousands of players online at any given moment, and it without a doubt broke so many industry sale records, in which it became the fastest selling entertainment product in human history, making $800 million in its first day and $1 billion in its first 3, with it now having over 200 million copies sold and making $8.5 billion in total revenue, with it now being the second best selling video game of all time. Of course, it was the best selling game of 2013 and was critically acclaimed and beloved by pretty much everyone, winning numerous Game of the Year awards. GTA 5 feels like the most grandiose game in the franchise yet, and it's no wonder why it is so successful. Grand Theft Auto 6 is the next game in the GTA franchise, with it supposedly coming out towards the end of 2025, 12 years after the release of GTA 5, and it is easily the most anticipated video game of all time. GTA 5 was such a monumental success, it's without a doubt scary for Rockstar to choose where to go next, but after the trailers that were released at the end of 2023, fans are beyond excited to see what they have to offer, as it looked absolutely incredible. The graphics that they showcased in the trailer looked to be some of the best in video game history, and the trailer alone broke records, becoming one of the most viewed videos within 24 hours ever uploaded online. The estimates for how much this game has cost to be created is $2 billion, making it by far the most expensive game to ever be made, and it's mind-blowing to even think about what they will be able to accomplish with this type of budget. GTA 6 will no doubt become the best-selling game of all time, and will break countless records with ease when it does finally release, and I believe this game will have the internet in a chokehold for many years to come. The story is going to follow the criminal duo known as Lucia and her romantic lover, taking place in the fictional state of Leonida, which is based on Florida, and it's Miami-inspired Vice City. The excitement I, as well as pretty much everyone online, has for this game can't even be measured, and when it does finally come out, it will be a monumental moment in not only video game history, but pop culture history as well. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, please subscribe and leave a like. Let me know which of the GTA games are your favorite in the comments, and also, I have plans to cover more video game topics in the future, so let me know if there are any specific games that you would like me to talk about someday. Anyways, thank you again, and goodbye.